ballot measures and Republican mindset. Here's another thing this is from like a couple weeks ago, but I read this article and it really summed up for me like so much of American culture and like the politics that it breeds. And I'm speaking, of course, now this measure failed in Georgia, but you may have read of this piece about this town in Georgia that had that basically it's become a very it's like growing in population, and they film a lot of movies there. It's become sort of like the Southern Hollywood because of like a lot of tax breaks. It's called Stockbridge, Georgia. And basically, they were voting on election day to resegregate their town.
Yeah.
They wanted to, it's a town that just elected its first black mayor and has an all-black city council. And the white residents of the town were basically got on the ballot a measure to split the city in two between the white part and the black part, and basically take away all of the tax base of the white part. And essentially, they were doing this so they could get a Cheesecake Factory and a P.F. Chang's. I'm reading here from this.
Well, that's what they said.
Yeah, that's what they said.
It's just interesting seeing how the goalposts move over the years, because for a long time it was all about schools, and now it's literally about chain restaurants.
But what I mean is, like, this is essentially...
Well, in another 10 years, our chain restaurants will be our school.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd you go to high school? Oh, Cheesecake 11.
It says white residents are hoping to split the city in two, creating a new majority white town known as Eagles Landing.
Oh, God.
The community in recent years has become a hotbed of activity for film production companies and is often referred to as Hollywood South. If you watch the movie Black Panther, you will recognize the area upon visiting it, as it served for a shooting location for the popular film. White citizens recently enacted a plan to split the city into two, taking the most valuable parts of Stockbridge for their own.
And kind of put a force field around it that disguises the techno-utopia that is encased within.
City Lab reports that residents are upset that the community is mostly attracting Bojangles and Waffle Houses.
Both great.
When they
Delicious!
When they want
I'd
cheesecake.
kill for a fucking Bojangles around here.
When they want Cheesecake Factory or P.F. Chang's type establishments to move
So
into the
basically,
area.
they want to pay more for less good food. That's what they want.
The Daily Cost notes that the committee of privileged white people was meeting at a country club to discuss their plans. The plan was hatched when the woman running the campaign realized the average income of residents in the area was not high enough to attract the businesses she wanted in the area. What is most troubling is that the Eagles Landing plan calls for volunteers to essentially steal the business district that already exists, leaving Stockbridge residents with a massive loss of sales and property taxes. Residents didn't believe state officials would allow the measure to reach the ballot, but that's exactly what happened. In the area's white affluent voters pass the measure, Eagles Landing will feature six-figure income and a business district that was built from the ground up with help from the largely black community. Even though Stockbridge residents won't be allowed to vote on the measure unless they are in the Eagles Landing area, it will be their community that is torn apart, essentially an annexation of their rightfully owned city.
Oh, my God.
So
Eagles Landing. Was Iron Cross, Georgia already taken?
So that measure did not pass, weirdly, considering it was only the people in Eagles Landing that would be voting on it.
Honestly, kind of encouraging that they did not vote to recreate segregation so that they could have overpriced wontons.
The phrase blood and soil was not polling well, so they changed it to blood and cheesecake, but that just didn't have the direct appeal that they were hoping for.
No, but I read that article, and like it just really made me like think that, like, it really summed up a lot of me, like what our politics is really all about, who the people who vote in our elections, like what they're really thinking about, what they want politics to achieve for them. And it is that they want to create, like, you know, these all-white suburban enclaves that don't have to pay a single dime of taxes for anyone outside of their little, like, domed city.
The
or whatever.
villages.
Yeah.
Yes.
They want to recreate the village. The village is their utopia. It's their model of the future.
And they don't want a single dime of the taxes, the property or sales taxes they pay going to anything like, you know, public transit or education for anyone that isn't their kids. And I gotta say, like, it's not couched in these terms, but this is literally like, this is the ethno-state shit that, like, alt-right people are obsessed with.
Yes.
They don't conceive of it in those terms, but this is what they want to do. They want essentially an a la carte taxation system in which, like, what little in taxes they do pay goes to things exclusively that serve them and only them. And by them, I mean their kin and kind and other well-to-do white people.
Right. And what and basically this is when you're rung down from the ultra wealthy who are able to do this stuff unilaterally.
Exactly.
They don't have to worry about redrawing
any
lines
ballot
and
measure.
doing
Yeah.
ballot measures and you know any of that bullshit. They just keep their money out of range of public revenuers and recreate private infrastructure by themselves because that's the glory of having that much money. When you're a little bit lower on the economic rung, you have to still do this kind of stuff, but the idea is still the same. As I said, I think a few weeks ago, it is how one of the big things that entered the Roman Empire is that local people, you know, at the latifundia, people who owned large estates, just stopped sending people to the army and stopped sending tax revenue up and started building walls around their little things and saying, "No, I got this," and we're seeing that recreated here. At everywhere above like the top, you know, like 10%, people are doing that, and yeah, it's only going to get more prevalent over time. I do think it's funny though, and very revealing, and honestly should even be an embarrassment to like the white nationalist types who see this kind of thing as a model and have, you know, like Roman fucking busts as their avatars on Twitter and post nothing but pictures of columns and are like,
and are obsessed with eagles.
This is how things should be. This is the fucking white Western culture that you're defending. It has nothing to do with any of these ancient verities. It's fucking Cheesecake Factory.
And P.F. Chang's.
It's P.F. Chang's. It's this ersatz, corporatized, poured concrete, cheap-ass recreation of things that you never even experienced. It's somebody else's dream of a culture, and you're getting just it covered in fucking MSG and high fructose corn syrup. And that's the fucking culture that you're willing to kill, 3/4 of the world population to maintain? Just think of the fucking psychotic, awful heart of anyone who is motivated by that to see all that death as like grimly necessary, not something you necessarily want to, you know, celebrate, but something that must be done for the good of the culture. And this is what it is.
Well, this
it's
is
the fucking Cheesecake Factory.
Like these are the people like you know, like even like the intelligent racists who will be like, you know, like people like Andrew Sullivan or whatever, who are like, you know, we should, you know, like, you know, Trump is a demagogue, but like, you know, people on the left who poo-poo, you know, concerns about immigration or whatever are playing into his hands. You know, we should speak to the fears of people who are like afraid of the caravan because, you know, it's a real issue. Like, you know, what happens when, you know, Western culture or American culture changes? And I'm like, fucking good. Let's like, dude, our culture is dog shit.
It's awful.
Our culture is terrible. And when I say our culture,
calling it a culture is a fucking insult to that concept.
And like, here's the thing, like American culture, like as a whole, still does like carries a lot of weight in the world, and that like we set popular culture for the world largely, but like anything that is valuable in our culture, I'm sorry, is not being produced by white suburbanites.
No.
Like when we talk about like white American culture, there is no culture.
They don't. Well, that's
These
the thing.
people would rather have fucking Cheesecake Factory than breathable air or drinkable water in the next 30 years.
And they don't produce any culture. They produce nothing. They consume. They consume fucking Minions T-shirts and ISIS Hunter fucking bumper stickers
Ford
and
F-150s,
cheesecake.
and Ford F-150s and a shitload of guns.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't think this culture is worth preserving. It's our democratic culture that's worth preserving. These people don't believe in democracy.
No.
We just explicitly told you they're trying to like literally annex territory for themselves so they don't have to like live and share any property with like black people.
The governors of 2 states and the president of the United States are currently in public carrying out an attempt to steal fucking 3 elections. There's nothing but contempt for democracy. All they want is the freedom to consume garbage,
dog
shit food, idiot television, shitty movies, and fucking petrochemicals. That's it.
Yeah. So like again, so if you're looking at, you know, 5,000 people fleeing warfare and horrible, immiserating conditions that largely this country is responsible for in Central America, trying to enter a nation of 320 million people.
Yeah.
God, I just don't know if we can handle another 5,000 people in this country.
Yeah, I know. I don't think we can
And
do it.
what? That these people are looking for a job or just anything because their way of life has been uprooted by horrible global capitalism.
Somebody might.
What they're going to come to America and they're going to change our culture by I don't know, introducing food that isn't awful.
Look.
Wait a minute.
If they come here, we're no longer going to have a melting pot. By that I mean the chain fund.
I will not stand idly by and seeing this nation's Fuddruckers turned into taqueras.
Anything that's bearable or interesting about American culture is not being produced by these people.
Nothing is being produced by these people.
Yeah.
They don't produce culture. They just consume a corporate fucking monetized just gravy pipe of shit. It's like all of American culture. It's like that Simpsons episode where they go to the Duff fucking brewery and all the different flavors are coming out of one pipe. That's it.
Yeah.
But all the pipe, it's like the food, the beverage, the television. It's all just a corporate shit. And the funny thing is these Nazi guys see that and they're like horrified by it too.
Yeah,
but they somehow think that their fellow whites in these in these places are going to somehow rise up against this commodified, awful corporate monoculture. Like they don't love it more than life itself.
Well, even those people, like the people who have marble bust avatars.
Well, yeah, they're full of fucking shit.
They're full of shit. If you ask any one of those people who has hashtag defend Western civilization or whatever from people in Central America or immigrants or whatever, ask them what their favorite symphony is and watch their fucking gormless shithead slack-jawed face just go, buh.
No, the one from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
My favorite moment of that ever, and this is a year ago now, is that there was a thread where one of these fucking mutants posted this picture of a statue, and he said, "This is the culture we're trying to preserve," and he got owned immediately because somebody pointed out it was actually made by an Asian woman.
It was a statue. It was like a marble statue of like a woman
in a diaphanous,
in a sort of
clingy dress,
like a classic representational,
right.
Looked realistic. And he was like, "This is Western civilization," and it was actually a Chinese American woman sculptor.
And everyone was owning him for that. And I feel like that sort of missed the even bigger point, which says the fucking statue is dog shit. The statue is basically just a fucking marble real doll. There's nothing to it. It's just look a sexy lady, and it's hard. It's like impressed by the technical skill of making stone look like fabric. It's like that's fine, but just looking at that and being like, I'll kill 3/4 of the world population for this. Your brain is a dog's brain.
And whenever I think about whether it's Eagle's Landing or The Villages or any of this shit, Matt, I think you've seen it. Have you ever, the movie A Boy and His Dog?
Oh yeah, Don Johnson.
It's like
Jason Robards.
Yeah,
classic.
this post-apocalyptic movie where Don Johnson is this sort of teenage wanderer through this post-nuclear hellscape.
Yep.
And eventually he gets kidnapped by basically the underground version of The Villages led by Jason Robards, where they've used robots to recreate this kind of 1950s
it's like new
suburban,
Wichita or something.
Yeah, this 1950s suburban existence, and they want to get him so that they can literally milk his sperm and create more apple-cheeked young lads.
Yeah, because their
they're
DNA
all
is too
weird
fucked up
old
by
men.
radiation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So check out A Boy and His Dog, directed by IQ Jones, the Sam Peckinpah.
LQ Jones.
LQ Jones?
LQ.
Oh, LQ Jones.
IQ
Jones.
His much smarter brother, IQ Jones.
the Sam Peckinpah
from Wild Bunch, based on a Harlan Ellison short story.
Anyway, Boy and His Dog, very good movie.